Happy Friday, everybody. Lovely to be talking to you again. Thank you for those of you who've encouraged me and commented on it. I hope this is helpful and useful and encouraging as we are working our way through the Lord's Prayer. Let me read to you the words of the Lord's Prayer that we're going to look at today as N.T. Wright translates them. Don't bring us into the great trial, but rescue us from evil. Now, if you know the Lord's Prayer traditionally, you'll probably know it as do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from evil or from the evil one. But asking God to not deliver us into temptation is interesting because it implies God does lead us into temptation, which we know from James is not true. James says that your earthly desires, your fleshly desires lead you into temptation. So it doesn't seem a good translation to talk about help us, don't lead us into temptation. And so as N.T. Wright translates it there, he says that actually don't bring us into the great trial, but rescue us from evil. Now, when I think about great trial, I think about Gethsemane and I think about Jesus weeping, sweating blood under the pressure and the weight of what he was about to do in going through with dying for you and for me. And in fact, at that moment, Jesus says to his disciples, watch and pray that you do not enter the parasmos is the Greek word, and it literally means great trial. And of course, Jesus at this point, he is aware of what he's about to do. He's aware that he's about to take on all the forces of hell, I think, and he's aware he's about to do it all on his own. And maybe that's a prayer, it's kind of a one-off prayer going, hey guys, you know what, just pray you don't have to do this because it's not nice and it's not enjoyable and I don't want you to do this. So just watch and pray that I have to do this on my own. You don't want to be involved. It's almost like in his love for them, he's going, hey, pray you don't have to be involved in this because this is so painful and so difficult. I don't want you to be involved. Perhaps you don't want anybody else to go through what he went through, which we'll get back to a bit at the end. But of course, it broadens out because we know that we do go through trials and tests, although we also know from 2 Corinthians 10, those are not beyond what we can bear. And perhaps that's the meaning for us today in this Lord's Prayer about don't bring us into a great trial, because we often feel like we're going to crack under the pressure of the day. Whatever's happening to us, whatever's going on, there are some brand new pressures in your household. I'm sure if you're on your own as a single household, that's an incredible kind of pressure and isolation. If you've got little ones who you thought were going to be at school or nursery for the next 2 weeks and they're not, that's a different pressure. If you normally spend quite a lot of time apart due to your jobs and now you're in a household where you're all together all the time, that's a whole different sort of pressure. And it can often feel like you're going to crack under that pressure. But part of this prayer is thanking God that won't happen because he doesn't test you beyond what you can bear. He has provided for you to not crack. And in fact, that's what 2 Corinthians 4 and 6 are all about. Paul's kind of going, hey, I thought I'd kind of cracked under the pressure. I thought I'd lost it all, but hey, I'm still here and I'm okay and I'm alive. That's amazing. I'm right here. And I don't know about you, but I've been through those times and I've felt like I've just totally cracked. I've lost it. But then in hindsight, you look back and you go, wow, I'm still here. And not only am I still here, but I'm wiser and stronger and much more like Jesus and much more knowledgeable and helpful. And so actually those times when we think we're going to crack, often, in fact always, if we allow God to do his work, tend to be the most fruitful times. And then of course the prayer goes on, deliver us from evil or from the evil one, depending which translation you use. Apparently the Greek is very ambiguous. It could easily be either. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is that Jesus is ambiguous in this because, you know, evil is not always obvious, particularly when you start looking internally, looking at your own insecurities and fears. They're not plain and obvious. Certainly, maybe at first they are, but once you get going and you start digging deep, you've got to delve around a little bit and go, what is going on in here? Why am I thinking like that? It's kind of slippery and slimy and hard to get hold of. It is ambiguous. But maybe as well, the key point is this, that God made a good world and evil has no place in it. And if we start kind of precisely naming it and assigning a place to it and saying that's where it dwells, well, actually, that's not the thing to do because it doesn't dwell there. It needs to be removed from there. So perhaps naming it and assigning it a place is not always wise. Of course, we need to understand it and see it within our own lives, but actually not just to name it. The only reason we need to see it and catch hold of it is to eject it, to get rid of it from our lives and from our wider world. But the key point in this prayer is this, that we are thanking him that we don't need to crack. Today, you don't need to crack under whatever pressure you are facing. And you are also going to ask that the dark forces of this world will not prevail upon us. You see, our prayer for help is based on Jesus, who is the only person ever that God said no to. When Jesus cried out for help, God said, I'm sorry, son, no, you are going to have to go through this. And because he did that, which must have been the most incredible thing for a father to do and the most incredible thing for a son to go through with, that means he will help you and he will deliver you. So when you pray in this prayer this morning, this is, God, I don't want to crack under the pressure of today. I'm thanking you that you're going to give me enough to get through today. I'm thanking you it's going to be a good day. And I'm thanking you that the evil one is not going to overtake me. The evil one's not going to prevail. You see, the end of this prayer, or towards the end of it, it should always lead us to be in awe and wonder of the cross. And that what Jesus did, he did it so we don't have to do it. Okay, God bless. Have a wonderful Friday. Lots and lots of love. Maybe I'll speak to some of you at the prayer meeting on Saturday morning. We're going to try and make that work. Okay, lots and lots of love. Take care.